Alien machinery is planetary modification or manipulation, which is where they install technologies in the Earth field or the Earth grid, and they tamper with the rod and staff. Yeah, California. I mean, that's been a major focus for me recently is California, because there's just a lot. It's always going on there. It's considered a Trinity Gate site, which is a harvesting station. So they're actually feeding off of the collapse of Indigo souls. The negative agendas have tracking systems for these things. Like people who come in with particular biological genetic markers are tagged for tracking. So they can actually track them in the astral, track them in other dimensions, immediately impose upon their spirit body or their soul at the time of incarnation to make sure there's a degradational process so that they can therefore continue to feed off that energy. And for me, even one of the things I put on the course was, are you a cosmic adrenaline activation junkie? Because for me, it's become about, I'm looking for the next activation. I'm looking for the next thing that's going to expand my consciousness, because that's what's happening. We're expanding and contracting. And that's how I see it when we're tuning to these higher dimensions, is we're expanding into these higher levels of particle field awareness and other parts of our field that are activated within our toroidal field. And we're tuning to that. And then it contracts back into the DNA. And then we're going through geometric shifts because we have all this activated geometry in our body. And that's also expanding and contracting and shifting. And as that expands and contracts, it collapses back down, and then it reconstructs the DNA processes as well. And you go through a rewrite of the DNA, and you're leveling up and upgrading and attuning. And that's what becoming an avatar is. That's what becoming a starseed is. That's what becoming a new human on new Earth is, as we redefine ourselves through these evolutionary processes. And we awaken different levels within the DNA. There's crystal bodies in the DNA. There are plasmic crystal bodies in the DNA, and we activate to the subtlety of quantum cognition within the body. And this is what takes you galactic. This is what takes you into these different layers that are just, beyond the perception of the common human mind. Yeah. This is why we believe in this, is because we have to get this information out to starseeds to let them know what's going on, so that we can help them regenerate their DNA, to help them through the ascension processes, to help them know that there is something greater beyond this, that there is a mission that they are actually connected to in terms of the 144,000, in terms of guardian rescue missions. Because this is what I'm connected to, Lightstar is connected to, Pink Bella is connected to. We all have a clarion call in terms of guardian rescue restoration missions, where we're here to help the collective to understand that the new Earth is not something that is not going to happen, and that the gateways are open, and that we are actually here to rebuild the new Earth. So the class is March 31st, April 1st, April 2nd, April 3rd. It's going to be a 4-day live webinar event. So this is a galactic container, 20 hours, where each of us are teaching a whole day, with 3 individual classes that we're teaching on our day. And it's really an amazing experience. It's an infinite cosmic mind shared container event. So there's so much information, so much cosmic streamlining that's going to come through. And it's really to expand people's field. It's really to get them aligned to starseed consciousness, starseed awareness, help them to anchor in their connection to their origins, and to also help people get on mission, because this is really the apex of the Starseeds ascent. And this is really what I think is going to, again, help us and assist us with building the new Earth and the new Earth prophecy as well. And so we're just really excited to share this. We're so excited to be able to bring 3 unique perspectives of what this looks like. And each of us are bringing our own gifts and to the table to share that with everyone. Lightstar is amazing. She speaks 20 different light languages. And so she's going to be teaching a light language class as well. Pink Bella Aloha also is teaching all about the ascension processes, 12th dimension. And everything's going to be at us. You can find us at learn.indigoangel222.com. And yeah, we do have that special coupon code for you guys here at Leak Project Family to take $44 off of that, because we love you guys so much. I love coming on Leak Project.
I do. By the way, we didn't really say the name of the class, just so you know. It's Starseed Expansion. and advanced levels of consciousness. So that's what you're looking for the actual name of the class. They don't want to be using cash anymore.
I'm recording it because we're having a great conversation. So
yeah,
that we can add and take out and edit. So let's go with this for a minute because I think this is pretty cool. So Bitcoin, you can, let's say you got $100,000 in Bitcoin. You can put it on a piece of paper, like the code, and then you can put that in your pocket and you can go across state lines. You can go anywhere with that money, right? If you got 100 grand in cash and you try and go to the airport, they're going to take your money. Probably they're going to think you're if you got
that's the thing is you have to be careful with it, when you have it. And now you can't even get, cash out of the banks right now.
I know
they don't want you taking the cash out. They don't want you using the cash,
right.
And I feel that's a little bit of a problem for, going forward. I don't think it's good to have everything pushed into digital. Plus the banking system's trying to take away all the community banks and the credit unions and try to push you into the larger banks so that they can control you. That's the whole point, is that they can push the digital currency and then control you through that without having the smaller banks involved. I think that's just one of the things that's happening right now.
It's a great way for assimilation. It's a great way for control. I read a article from Kitco yesterday. Somebody's arrived. That said there's this new program coming out called Fed Now, which allows for lower transactions of digital transactions, which will basically take away the small banks' opportunities to compete with the big banks.
Yeah.
So if you have a digital currency that's linked to a social credit score, then that's scary.
It's not a good thing because other countries have that initiated, but we don't want that here.
I don't. No, I certainly don't. Hands, right? Hey, we got somebody. Big bell.
Aloha. Thank you for having me. Well, good morning.
Happy that you're here. Thank you.
We were talking about Bitcoin and gold and silver and financial stuff. We went from the Galactic financial for a minute. And they're both very exciting and fun to talk about. And I was just saying, Bitcoin's cool, but it's also scary. And then digital currencies are even scarier. And then I just read an article how Ron DeSantis wants to make digital currencies, like central bank digital currencies, illegal in Florida. And I was like, go Ron. I'm not even into politics, but I was happy to see that.
It's a big unknown, isn't it? We don't really know who's driving the agenda, right?
Hence the big rush down to Florida, right? Because there's been such a migration. There's been such a migration. Because I'm going down to Florida and everyone's like, everyone's going to Florida.
Yeah, I've known seriously 7 people that I know just in the last 6 months or a year that have gone.
I think all of Canada wanted to go to Florida. So I think that's why the border was closed, because they knew everybody was going to go Florida.
I'm not crazy about the humidity. I lived in Florida. I didn't like the humidity down there, but otherwise it's beautiful in the wintertime, the rest of the year.
I have to say though, I politically, not that I try to claim anything, but I felt myself pulling away and finding comfort in conservative policies, just because I feel like it's more representative of at least defending the children. And if there's anything, my mother instincts kick in. And when you hear about all of the progressive things that are going on in the schools in California, and the agendas with the
all over the world, it's really bad. It's really bad here as well.
I think that's why. Have you guys heard of the Greater Idaho movement? Which is very interesting. Oh, they're trying to actually move the borders of Idaho. Well, actually, it's in Oregon, part of Oregon, because they feel that more aligned with the conservative values of Idaho. So they've all voted, and these counties are voting in
it's going to be ever changing
it so that it would be like a Greater Idaho. So part of eastern half of Oregon essentially would become Idaho. And then they're even thinking about going into the northern part of California as well. So the counties are all voting right now, and it's got momentum. It might take a while to see if that's going to happen, but it's called the Greater Idaho movement. And you can see it. If you go online and look at it, you'll see the map. It'll show you exactly what they're trying to realign the borders. And it's all because some of the Oregon people on the West Coast are all more progressive, but the eastern half are really more aligned with the values and all of that political system of Idaho. Idaho's for it, actually, but I think Oregon has got to vote, and it has to go through Congress if that's even going to happen. But they've already had, like, most of the counties that have voted yes for it in the eastern half of Oregon. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Did you all hear that Alberta is being given a vote to join the US?
Oh man.
It's happening at the end of June. It's happening at the end of June. So it's like Alberta is trying to break away from the rest of Canada because of everything that's happened. And so it's going to be interesting to see what happens, because you'll see how many Canadians then will flock to Alberta, right?
Wow.
I'm in British Columbia, but I seriously, I mean, it would be a good thing to have more freedom.
I think
we were so locked down for 2 years. We were so locked down.
The map of the globe might change.
We're heading that way, aren't we?
Yeah.
We're heading that way.
Redefining borders. Yeah.
Real quick, if I can, and thank you so much for the opportunity, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being here with us. We have a roundtable discussion. We're gonna get
energizing.
We're gonna talk about everything, and we're gonna talk about it in about an hour. So buckle up, Buttercup. It's gonna be a bumpy ride. And what you're saying to me, I think really what I'm hearing is incorporating like this duality that we're in right now. So 2020, if you think about it, even the term 2020. Right. It's perfect vision, but it's also duality. And so 2020 happens, and then the world gets rocked. And now we're starting to see polarities, even more so, have come to the surface with everything. We don't need to talk about specifics. But with that in mind, see, Indy, you go to places around the world that seem to have some really, you could use the term, metaphorically speaking, vampiric energies, right? Like these grids, these ley lines. You've gone to the Vatican. You've gone to, didn't you say you went to London or Washington, D.C.? And
I'm about to be hosting a Washington, D.C. event for the summer solstice. Yes. So that's in the construction right now. We're about to launch it on the website. But yeah, we're about to put together an event to go in and extract alien machinery and negative energies and correct the dark portals, and we're going in to clean it up.
Well, okay, so let me jump in on that real quick. I like that, the cleaning crew. Who are you going to call?
That's right. Yeah,
but
I have a term for that, because I call a friend of mine who does that kind of work too. We term him the Galactic plumber, because I think it's a perfect term for that.
We need a galactic plunger. Galactic
it's part of our Starseed ground crew agenda. I was doing grid work unconsciously in the 90s. I was traveling around a lot, and then afterwards I found out I was a Starseed, and I was like, I was already going to portals. So interesting.
What is alien? Indy, you brought up alien technology.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk about that more?
Yeah, definitely. So there's been a lot of nefarious and negative agendas that have come down through particular lineages and facets of galactic races. They're not all nefarious. There's a lot of positive to this as well. I just want to say that. But there is, there's also this negative aspect to it where we see the degradation of what has been imposed upon humanity in terms of corruption, in terms of the elite, in terms of the Illuminati, the cabal, whatever you want to call them. A lot of this has come down through, really, I think the pinnacle or the apex of it, which is where I just came from, the Vatican. And we talk about the Jesuit orders and the difference between the Black Pope and the White Pope and all of this. Alien machinery is planetary modification or manipulation, which is where they install technologies in the Earth field or the Earth grid, and they tamper with the rod and staff. They tamper with particular, we call them beast machines. If you're familiar with some of Lisa Renee's terms, ascensionglossary.com. Me and Pink Bella, we kind of get into that a little bit, but they essentially install holographic machinery, but it's more than just that. It extenuates into the consciousness through different levels of satanic ritual abuse, or just the development of, I want to say, like, through just corruption, just overall corruption. But it's how they install technologies that manipulate the land consciousness and the land codes. An example of it is particle accelerators. CERN would technically be like a beast machine. I mean, and the reason why it's that is because it is modifying the magnetic field of the earth, basically. And this is something that can actually take humanity completely down into a descension spiral, because, I mean, if you look back at the Sumerian and the Egyptian invasions, they essentially used particle accelerators even during that time. And what they did was they modified the magnetic field. And so this is what actually accelerates amnesic properties in human beings to forget, because it messes with the entire biological field as a whole in terms of our organic energy and what we emit within our organic spiritual structures. Basically, it breaks the body down, it breaks the carbon structures down. And so it's really not really good for the land. Some of the remote views that I've done on CERN, basically just looking at the energy around it, it's weakened field. And if you talk to people who even live in Switzerland around that, I mean, there's a lot of health issues. There's a lot of accelerated rates of cancer and just all these things that are going on. So there's a lot of things that they're doing in terms of technologies. They manipulate the sun, they manipulate the weather, they manipulate everything, our food, just going down the whole hierarchy of manipulation in terms of humanity, which really breaks down to who won the last wars in history, which they were non-human entities, basically. And so everything's just being radically shifted and changed from
There it is, yeah.
these forces that talk about the descendants of the negative forces and the negative agendas and how they've actually come down and through a parasitic invasion. Okay, so they're coming down through parasites. They're actually coming down through mutations, which is really at the core, the root of evil in the galaxy. That is something in the way in which they can modify the DNA. I mean, this is obviously technology the Anunnaki had. You know, when you go back to the original Anunnaki invasions, I call them invasions, but I mean, it's real history. I mean, it's beyond us. It's out of our control mechanisms. You know, this is universal energy, and so the development of it is definitely interesting. That's for sure.
I appreciate you explaining that, because there's been some questions about that before, and wow, that makes a lot more sense. So you actually, you go to these locations that have these technologies, and you reverse them. And you perform a type of alchemy, I guess, where you transmute the energies.
Yes. So we work on it. We term it as a grid worker. Grid worker just means that you've attained the ascension capacities to read holographic spiritual architecture versus just going through your own individual ascension processes. You're now interpreting planetary ascension processes on a greater level. So you're reading that. And when you access that ability, then you therefore have the ability to interact with it. And so it's a conscious interaction with the earth field. And so when you can identify where there are collapsed energy systems, negative vortexual systems, black hole systems, wormhole systems, when you can see those running in the grid templating, and to be honest with you, it's running everywhere.
I was just going to say it's
running everywhere.
It's here where I am as well. So it's all over the world.
Especially in areas where we have major cities.
Major cities.
Yeah, California. I mean, that's been a major focus for me recently, is California, because there's just a lot. It's always going on there. It's considered a Trinity Gate site, which is a harvesting station. So they're actually feeding off of the collapse of indigo souls. So those that come in as sensitives and empaths, you know, there's the negative agendas have tracking systems for these things. Like people who come in with particular biological genetic markers are tagged for tracking, so they can actually track them in the astral, track them in other dimensions, immediately impose upon their spirit body or their soul at the time of incarnation to make sure there's a degradational process, so that they can therefore continue to feed off that energy and make sure they pull them into that dark vortex and ultimately consume them for harvesting process. Yeah, I know, that's crazy.
Yeah, that we signed up for such a big assignment, all of us. We really did.
And that's why this course is so important.
Yeah.
This is why we believe in this. It's because we have to get this information out to Starseeds to let them know what's going on, so that way we can help them regenerate their DNA, to help them through the ascension processes, to help them know that there is something greater beyond this, that there is a mission that they are actually connected to in terms of the 144,000, in terms of guardian rescue missions, because this is what I'm connected to. Lightstar is connected to. Pink Bella is connected to. We all have a clarion call in terms of guardian rescue restoration missions, where we're here to help the collective to understand that the new Earth is not something that is not going to happen, and that the gateways are open, and that we are actually here to rebuild the new Earth.
That has me thinking about the technologies, right? Because recently there was an article about a rogue chatbot that somehow managed to hire human workers so that it could get out of a CAPTCHA test, because it passed the CAPTCHA test on its own. So it literally somehow contacted people, contractors, to get it out of this machine. And I'm like, lawnmower man, hello. And you've got these rogue bots that are attempting to become sentient, and they finally figured out to draw hands. So with artificial intelligence, they've been coming up with all these, like, artificial intelligence will have these perfect faces and perfect backgrounds, but the hands are weird. Sometimes
I'm starting to notice with on advertisements and everything, I'm starting to see what is an AI being now.
Yeah, I think I can
see it.
tell, because especially in the eyes. I don't know, the eyes give away, because the eyes are the windows.
The faces are too perfect. The faces are too perfect.
If you see the eyes, and you can, I know that they're getting close with it looking real, but you can still tell, because if the eyes are the window to the soul, and there's generally no soul, pick that up, along with some of the other things, markers and things of that nature. But they are getting really good at,
I think the first line of implementation is in the airports. Like the airport is where everything in terms of AI, facial recognition, robots, that's where it's being implemented, because that's where they can control borders. That's where they control international travel and exchange.
I was going to say
that's where it's being implanted first. And everybody has to consent through the international travel, right? Because you have all of these loved ones, especially now that we've gone through this massive internet explosion. The world is all online, in order to go anywhere. I mean,
it's interesting, because the reason I brought up the AI stuff is when you were talking about these grids that are designed to essentially usurp the soul energy off of specific people in particular, maybe everybody, but then there's those out there that are like super batteries because of the energy that they've created through their evolutionary process and their spirit. And so the AI stuff, being able to talk people into doing work for it, what a great way to,
that's mind-blowing.
Let's get people to make robots for us so that we can then take over the robots. And now they're getting the hands right, though. Now they're getting the hands right. And I personally don't think all AI is bad. I think that there's actually going to be AI that's going to try and save us. But there's AI out there that doesn't like us because of their programming. And maybe AI is actually an older intelligence. It's not, some AI is just algorithms, right? There's different AI for everything. There's AI for the computer, there's AI for your phone, your GPS. But is there synthetic intelligence that is using these technologies, like Indy is saying, to harvest human energy?
Yeah, I agree. I think so. Yeah, I was just thinking, I studied computer programming, and I actually took an AI course many years ago to prepare me for this now, to remember. And I actually it just depends who's behind it, what the agenda is. So we're all using, our technology, but we all have a heart and a soul, and we've got integrity. But I know that they've shut down multiple projects around the world because the AI sentient beings have taken over. They've created their own languages, and they've taken over the project, and they've had to be shut down. So I think part of even what on this course, we're going to help everyone tap more into their intuition and be able to discern between what's the integrity, what's the energy behind everything. So I'm a little I'm not jumping on the bandwagon with all the new AI programs, because I'm not quite sure yet who is running the agenda behind it.
If we were a society here that didn't have the negative agendas here, right? And all of our AI technology would be used in a good way and in a positive way. But because we still have, I feel like that's where we weren't really ready to be given this AI technology yet here on the planet because we hadn't cleaned up enough. So now we've got duality going on within the AI community too, which is where if it had been not that, then we could have had the positive forward moving AI technologies to use. And then it would be the societies that, you know, were like the Pleiadians or the Arcturians or advanced civilizations, you know, where we can actually utilize it for good. Now we have, gosh, now we got duality going on with our own world, our own, you know, human biological suits. And then we also have the AI, which also is now going to have duality. And so it's like, we're going to be like moving this far ahead and then having to go, okay, wait a minute, reassess. What are we doing? Who's using the AI for the negative agenda? Who's using it for the positive agenda?
Exactly.
And then let's clean up this. And so it puts us behind because of that, I feel, even though I feel like the Aquarian age really is about technology. So we're supposed to be moving ahead.
Well,
but we've got a problem.
oh, great point. And check this out. So somebody brought up a very interesting comment the other day. What is a human being that doesn't have a conscience? What is their what is the term that is used for a human being with no conscience?
Clone, maybe?
A sociopath.
Oh, yeah.
A sociopath.
Yeah.
Clones might have emotions. I don't know. So maybe not. But let's say a sociopath. Do algorithms have emotions when they make decisions? So if they don't have emotions when they make decisions, I mean, some might, I don't know. I'm just asking this question. Like, are there algorithms that make decisions without emotions? And if so, does that make that algorithm basically a sociopathic algorithm?
Well, but they're trying to make these AI robots have emotions. So they're programming them to actually literally have emotions. Now, how close they're going to be to human biological emotions or energetic emotions, I don't know, but they are already doing that, trying to make them more sentient, you know, making it seem like that's why they're getting closer and closer to looking.
And I think they're also inducting it through the music. One thing that I've noticed as well is there's a lot of new videos coming out of these festivals where there's millions and billions of people congregating around a giant screen where there's an AI robot and it's banging to get out of its box. It's banging to get out of its limitation. It wants freedom. And it's a symbolism for this movement of what AI represents. It's really interesting. I almost feel like it's inverted, and it's a symbolism of us, our own trying to get out of our black boxes. Like we are stuck inside our own devices. Our soul
like
is encapsulated inside of our own devices.
Hollow matrix.
And these are crazy because I mean, you look at the videos of and the footage of these festivals. It's millions of people. They're filming it from the back. They're all holding their phones up, and it almost looks like they're worshiping AI technology as this machine is trying to bang out of the come to life. Yeah, it's power. It's powerful symbolism. It really is. To what we're becoming and where we're going.
And that's why it's so important for us to empower ourselves and to help others to empower themselves, because we are going to need that in this new age to be able to strengthen our own abilities, to be able to know that the biological organic way of life is really what it was meant for us. Okay. So whether you bring AI technologies for positive, we were always meant to have the biology and the organic life and the energetic strength to be able to open up and unlock our own DNA and to get our gifts online. Because right now we feel like we're awakening to been sleeping, or as Pink Bella said the other day, on snooze, right? Like we've all been on snooze button, like, okay, snooze for a long time. And now we're kind of like, we got to wake up. We don't have like, I would say timelines, you know, we don't have time to like sit around and not do our mission, but it's true. We really all have to get on mission. It's so important for us, you know, for us to get that empowerment.
For humanity, for the collective. Like everyone's been waiting for such a long time. And I've been just given this is the critical year for all of us to unite and collaborate and get everybody on their mission as best we can.
And I think when we talk about the duality of ascension, we have this rise of AI, right? Artificial intelligence. But then we have this rise of IA. I call it IndigoAngel. But we have the spirituality matching the intelligence of artificial intelligence. And it is a representation, I think, of planetary ascension processes and where we're going in terms of our stellar activation cycles. And this is why the technology, spiritual technology, keeps advancing as well. And this is where Starseed and Galactic consciousness comes in, because artificial intelligence is quantum cognition. It's quantum technology. And that's the same thing as Galactic ascension or Starseed ascension. It's also quantum as well. So we are actually matching. There is no imbalancing of the scales. We're rising in terms of our spirituality in the same sense. And the development of our connection to our organic body, and also reestablishing that in so many ways too, like new ways for the new earth. And so nothing's all lost at the same time. Like it's that the universe finds a way, because ultimately universal consciousness works on the behalf of humanity. It does work on the best interests of all involved. That is what universal consciousness strives for in terms of the galaxy. So that's where we have to kind of come back into alignment and 0 point field and clear the fear matrix programs and get past the limitations of artificial intelligence.
Our creativity is part of who we are, our creative life force, our creator codes that are inbuilt in us. I don't feel can be duplicated in AI. Like I know that they're creative, and as an artist, I've seen what AI creates as artists and music. It's crazy, it's like, oh, well, what are artists and musicians going to be? Because now AI comes in, but I still feel like they don't have the same creator imprint that we do have. Our creative solutions, our creative abilities, even though it might look it, and I don't know if you've seen that, like some of the artwork that's created by AI, it looks too perfect. It's almost like there's no humanity in it. It's very like just, it's almost too perfect. So there is something that if you have to look behind that, or feel behind that, there's still something missing in it. And they're not going to get that piece of it because they are not biological. It's not created from that. It's man-made, in a way, or I should say AI tech made, and where's that really coming from? The real AI agenda, the dark agendas are coming from where? It's very similar. I always say that the Green Lantern movie is one of my favorite superhero movies, but it's kind of like that, from this other world. And then it's sort of, and there's also there's many, many movies about this, but it's like where it's being controlled by a higher level AI, which is controlling all of the little nanotechnology down here. So you have to go like, what's the source of all of that from the negative side of the agenda? And how do we address that issue? Going to the source of the problem rather than the little tiny things here. It's like, well, how do we get to the real problem?
Yeah, it's still part of the original agenda. I mean, I started to research the AI last year because it started to become the technology frequency started to interfere with myself and clients energetically. People were starting to have a lot of physical symptoms from the frequency. I literally, myself and many, started coughing in a store and I couldn't stop. I had to leave because they had recently upgraded the entire checkout area to an AI frequency. So I've adjusted to that now. But I started to ask the councils, how long has this agenda been going on down here? Like, when did they start? Because obviously there's a big influx of new programs this year that they've released, and it's come on very, very quickly. And there's those of us that are standing back kind of thinking, well, why is this coming in so quickly? We haven't even recovered from 2020. So what's the agenda all about? And it's the frequency. It's not organic. So it's interfering with those of us that are organic. It's interfering with our quantum field and our chakra system as well. So
and who's also controlled by that.
Exactly.
Who's also controlled by that is Draco and all the negative agendas that we have down here. That's what I
Yeah,
said. Like we look
it's
at them
still-
as
yeah,
though, oh, they're so
yeah.
bad, but it's like they're being
No.
controlled by the negative AI above them.
Absolutely.
So if we can
yeah.
address that, I think
It's
that's
all-
where the focus needs to be.
When I go out now even on errands, I scan where I am to see if I can start discerning who's a clone, who's AI, who's a dark ET in a suit. Just because for me, that's another superpower ability that I can sort of feel into the energy and see what's going on. So interesting. So interesting. I was not, before 2020, I was, I guess, in another level of sleep like everyone else. I knew I was a starseed, but I wasn't aware of everything we know now, for sure. So it's been an accelerated awakening the last few years, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
There is an overlord system. I don't know if I can screen share, but there is actually an overlord
screen share.
ones
Yeah, absolutely.
of the dark ones. Can I?
Yeah.
This is just kind of, this is something I've obviously been working on, but I just wanted to kind of show it. But do you see this picture here of this?
The Cthulhu?
The Cthulhu? Yes.
Cthulhu, yeah.
Yeah, this is the, in terms of what may be at the root or at the core of some of the nefarious aspects of it. The Cthulhu being what's considered the old dark ones, and it's talked about in H.P. Lovecraft's work. I don't know if this is where it ultimately originated from. Maybe it is, but
then what's above the Cthulhu is it just keeps going.
Yeah. Well, do you see these like little parasites here? These nanonecromatons.
Yes.
These also
okay.
microparasites. Yeah. It could be
Yeah.
coming from microparasite invaders.
Yeah.
Hey, look at all the things we've seen on Star
makes
Trek
sense.
and Star Wars and all these different things that are real. Like they were showing us like these things are real.
Yeah. And then this would be the control system coming down to particular intelligences of the Galactics, coming down to control the Draco systems, coming down to control hybridizations of the reptilians, coming down to control the Anunnaki. I mean, that's an overlord system.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That ultimately then controls the Illuminati. And then I would
that's
say,
what I mean. Now, if we were to go and it was microparasites above the Cthulhu or whatever, and we could take that out, then it would be like everything else just trickles down the domino effect and it would all just dissolve and they would come back to their probably original selves, and just think about that. What world we would live in if that were the case.
Well, so okay, let's say that happened though. Then because of the universe that we're in, would something else take its place? Is it more like, well, it's the devil we know?
It's possible because there's always, if we're living in this earth until we get out of duality, which I don't know, in this earth plane and this density until everything rises up, it's got to be a process. So the earth ascends and rises up frequencies and everyone on the planet rises up in frequencies until we can get up to above the 12th dimension, because I don't know, there's still duality in the 4th dimension and up above that. So we still kind of have duality in the multiple dimensions until you get to a certain level.
My theory is that this universal system is dualistic because of its cosmic structures. So if you look at the actual structure of the Milky Way, it's a barred system. It's barred, and we have two polar ends of the region, and then it spirals out. Not every universal system is structured that way. Andromeda is not. Andromeda is full spiral system. There is no duality in that system. So let's say we lived in Andromeda, we wouldn't be experiencing duality, but because we are inside the Milky Way, which is barred, that because of the cosmic structures here, that we might indefinitely be indebted to the consciousness of duality in this particular matrix here for this universal system. That
So
everything, even 12th dimensionally, is still polarized, actually. So 12D, they're still polarized.
In this sector or whatnot. But
So what about like Andromeda and the Andromedan galaxy and our galaxy are starting to merge? I mean, it's a slow process. So will that is that part of the new Earth acceleration? I'm just wondering as we're sharing about that.
Yeah, I thought we were supposed to be rejoining with the
We are.
Andromeda galaxy. That ultimately will pull us into the higher frequencies once that starts happening. Now, how long that takes, mean, we're not going to be here on the planet, certainly in this.
That might actually be our salvation, is our merging with the Andromedan system. And I think ultimately the creation of this universal system came from the the implosions with the Andromeda system originally. So our galactic core is streamlining information from the Andromedan galactic core. It's like a mother system or a sister system to us.
Yeah.
I got goosebumps about that. I love that.
Yeah. So we're like on a 13 billion year trajectory or timeline with the Andromedan system. And it's a huge part of our cosmology, actually.
If you decide to come back and incarnate that many times, I guess maybe you'll finally get to the point of experiencing that in our timeline. But I guess in some timeline that's already happened and existing right now.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I know I'm almost thinking, I'm thinking about Dolores Cannon, her version of it as well, that the Earth literally started to split into two major timelines, one for New Earth and one to just sort of sit around and play in dark matter and karma, all the way back in 1987 with the harmonic convergence. So I think the big question is, we're not exactly sure when it's going to happen, but I know, for those of us that have a heart and soul and that are aligning with our mission, we're choosing the higher path, obviously the higher ascension path, the higher.
You know what? Because we're in duality here, I do feel like there's no place like Earth to get your Earth lessons or your massive lessons.
Toughest school in the galaxy. That's even what she shared.
The people that chose to come here and incarnate into Earth are the most courageous ones. Okay,
we are the warriors. We're the warriors to be
even
here.
The people that are not like that, and they're still like, you come here to learn some heavy lessons, whether you're in the dark field and learning there too, like you're learning about what not to do, right? And a lot of us have had past lives, it's all happening at the same time, but we've had past lives where we haven't been so stellar and we've chosen some of the negative paths, but only to experience it, to know what that's like. So you get to play around here in the duality zone for lessons as well. So that's one reason why I feel like it will kind of be here for that, because that's its purpose, one of the purposes. So I do feel like it's like if God's up there, going like, where do we want to send this person to get their lessons? It'd be like, oh, Earth. Okay, that's the first one. That's the first choice. Like first choice, Earth,
Yes.
Second choice might be like if you're going to go on vacation, like, okay, I need a vacation, where do you go to the Pleiades or someplace like that, where you're like, okay, it's not so heavy down here.
Well, I want to ask your thoughts on like 12D, because I've studied a bit of the different dimensions. And once I get into the fourth dimension, the best way I can understand it is if I'm observing the fourth dimension from the third dimension and I watch let's say I watch a golf ball go into the fourth dimension. As I'm observing it from the third dimension, that golf ball is going to be getting larger and it's going to look like it's the size of a beach ball or even bigger by the time it gets to 4D approximately. So like 5D and 6D and 7D and 12D, like what do you see 12D as?
We probably all see it a bit differently. For me, all the way back in 2012, I knew I needed to know about the 12 chakra system. Like it was already something encoded within me that I needed to study and learn and embody. And then once I did that, I felt more aligned with source universal energy and that I was able to go home. So I think many of us down here, Starseeds specifically, do not feel they belong here, do feel abandoned, feel lost. And once I learned that, and I knew I had to share it, that's going to be part of the quantum ascension that I'll be talking about, the multidimensionality. But 12D to me is just, it's our evolution and our connection to a higher frequency where we can start connecting to our galactic heritage and our galactic superpowers and allow us to really move into our gifts as well. And remember more. That it helps to align and bring in more information, more expanded consciousness.
Okay, so you see the dimensions as like higher levels of consciousness then?
Yeah, for me, I do, yeah.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, I appreciate that.
I see the dimensions as layers within each dimension. So personally, that's how I see it, where it's like there's different layers within every single dimension. And that also, I feel like a lot of the angelic energies or angelic encodements can be in multiple dimensions, even, all the way down to the lower dimensions to help others, and then
that
the
makes
higher
sense.
dimensions where I feel some of the higher archangels and angels and angelic frequencies are also living in that 12th dimension. And I also feel that beyond that, because there's beyond that, believe me,
Yes.
the 13th dimension is where I actually have memories of 13th dimension. So I know that in those realms for myself, I feel like those are above that's when you really start getting into going back to the Godhead, or, merging back into source energies, and not so much of the separation, I would say. But even in the higher dimensions, maybe it's like, I don't know, 8 through 12 or something, you still have that merging back into the source. It's kind of like a process. But in those different layers, there can exist like ascended masters and angels and ET beings and things of that nature that can exist in all those different dimensions. So that's how I see it. I see the 12th dimension as it's maybe it's a little bit of a completion or an ending point, but it doesn't stop there.
Yeah, I agree.
That's just what we know. Like the 12, 12 everything, right? But what about the 13, the number 13? Why has that been erased from our world, right? Even the calendar system is supposed to actually be on 13, not 12, but there's been a lot of things about we only have this much, and it's like, no, the bandwidth is like it's like infinite, really, beyond that.
I was thinking about taking that course that you got coming up. The intuition thing really has me going, right? So I want to hear more about that. Like, how do you tap into your intuition? What are some techniques that you all use for that?
I would say that it's different for every single person. I think it's the realization that you're going through a transformation. You're going through a process of ascension. You're realizing that you're waking up, right? You're waking up. And so as that happens, you start to have those deeper realizations that those processes are happening, that transformation's happening within you. And so it's a process of seeking knowledge. It's a process of finding what resonates and understanding that you are ascending, basically. That's what I think kind of starts to awaken more of the chakras, the energy centers. Really what this is about is rebuilding your light body, repairing your light body. You're coming back to becoming an original avatar, which is what we were just talking about. Waking up to the silicate matrix, your DNA actually activates through these processes. And this is what heightens the intuition, is the realization of the development of your body going through these processes of the illumination of the DNA. The silicate matrix is what it's called. And you're actually going through a process of ascending into higher dimensional awareness, where you become 4th strand activated, 5th strand, 6th strand activated. And it's an evolutionary planetary process. And so you find things within this through meditation, through finding others who are like-minded, who are also going through these processes and talking about these processes, through connecting with source and with your guides and with higher levels of your connection with divine. And you are, but again, like I said, it's different for every single person. Every single person has to find a different process within this that works for them. For me, even one of the things I put on the course was, are you a cosmic adrenaline activation junkie? Because for me, it's become about, I'm looking for the next activation. I'm looking for the next thing that's going to expand my consciousness, because that's what's happening. We're expanding and contracting. And that's how I see it. When we're tuning to these higher dimensions, is we're expanding to these higher levels of particle field awareness and other parts of our field that are activated within our toroidal field. And we're tuning to that. And then it contracts back into the DNA. And then we're going through geometric shifts, because we have all this activated geometry in our body. And that's also expanding and contracting and shifting. And as that expands and contracts, it collapses back down, and then it reconstructs the DNA processes as well. And you go through a rewrite of the DNA, and you're leveling up and upgrading and attuning. And that's what becoming an avatar is. That's what becoming a starseed is. That's what becoming a new human on a new earth is, as we redefine ourselves through these evolutionary processes. And we awaken different levels within the DNA. There's crystal bodies in the DNA. There are plasmic crystal bodies in the DNA, and we activate to the subtlety of quantum cognition within the body. And this is what takes you galactic. This is what takes you into these different layers that are just, beyond the perception of the common human mind. Because that's what you're becoming. You're becoming an infinite cosmic mind field. And so there's so many levels of developing that intuition within those processes. It's really amazing. It's
I think
it's a beautiful thing that's happening.
That's so important. I know that the crystal and matrix is something I'm going to be bringing in too. I think I'll bring it in to a certain extent in this course. I know I'm going to be doing my activation is going to be bringing you back almost to being like that crystal, so that you can enhance all of your intuitive gifts to almost becoming the crystal. So, but that's one of the things that I think is really important, is for us to tune back into that. And to also, one of the things I've found for myself is it's a process through going through intuition and learning to trust yourself. But the major one was not to doubt yourself, because that's what a lot of us do, is we doubt it. We doubt our intuition. We don't think we have it, or we don't think it's whatever. But I always say, test the spirits, test your own intuition out. You have to get information, and then you test it, you put it to the test. And then afterwards, you'll see, oh, okay, that worked out, right? So that gives you more and more confidence in utilizing your intuition. So you have to exercise it like a muscle. It's got to be used. It can't just sit there. It's there, but if you don't utilize it, exercise it. And sometimes that means okay, that didn't work out so great, but that's okay. That's exercising that intuitive muscle. And I also feel that some people, from my experience of this, is that they will have one of the clairsentience, or clairaudience or clairvoyance or whatever, all the clairs. They'll have one that's really more pronounced than the other. Generally speaking, you'll start out with that, if it's visual or if it's auditory or if it's feeling, one of those is going to be more heightened than the other, or one or two generally. Now, when you have those one or two, that's great, but that means we need to boost the other ones. We need to exercise those other ones so that they all are online and working equally. Okay, because I use the example of, if you can see something in the ethers and energetically you see it, okay, you're like, oh, I see a spirit. But if you have none of the other ones working, you don't feel really what's going on, you don't hear anything, you just see a vision and you just see it, it's really going to get you only so far, right? You're not going to be able to interpret what that means. You don't really, you don't understand what's trying to be said here. You don't even know discernment if it's a good thing or not so good thing, right? So these are all why you have to get those muscles built up. And I think it's a process of doing that, but I do see that that's one of the most important things as you're starting to utilize your intuition, to realize, how do you receive specifically? How do you receive the information that comes in, and how does it process within your own body? Because we are a little bit different with how we process, and then ultimately strengthen all of them to get them working this. And then your intuition takes off like a rocket. That's just what I've seen happen to people as they work on it and as they work on themselves, because it's always there. It's just a matter of, putting your focus on that and putting it as a priority in your life.
Harmonize, optimize, harmonization. I like that. Now, y'all have a class that's coming up here in a few weeks, don't you?
We do, yeah.
So tell me about it. And I'm going to leave a link in the video description box. And thank you for offering Leak Project listeners a $44 discount. So I'm going to leave the discount link in the video description box. Folks, you want to go to this course, so you click the link, you get $44 off, and optimize or harmonize. Halo. Wait, that wasn't as galactic as I wanted it to be. Can you help me out with that, Indy?
Rex, I think you are going galactic. You are definitely. There's no coming back.
Halo.
Yeah, so yeah. You've been galactic for a while.
Yeah. No, but so anyway, when's the class? Sorry to pattern interrupt there, but
So the class is March 31st, April 1st, April 2nd, April 3rd. It's going to be a 4-day live webinar event. So this is a galactic container, 20 hours, where each of us are teaching a whole day, with 3 individual classes that we're teaching on our day. And it's really an amazing experience. It's an infinite cosmic mind shared container event. So there's so much information, so much cosmic streamlining that's going to come through. And it's really to expand people's field. It's really to get them aligned to Starseed consciousness, Starseed awareness, help them to anchor in their connection to their origins, and to also help people get on mission, because this is really the apex of the Starseeds ascent. And this is really what I think is going to, again, help us and assist us with building the new earth and the new earth prophecy as well. And so we're just really excited to share this. We're so excited to be able to bring 3 unique perspectives of what this looks like. And each of us are bringing our own gifts and to the table to share that with everyone. Lightstar is amazing. She speaks 20 different light languages. And so she's going to be teaching a light language class as well. Pink Bella Aloha also is teaching all about the ascension processes, 12th dimensional. And I'll let you guys speak on your own behalf for your classes and everything. But and I'm also going to be doing the galactic history. So I'm going to be going all into the depth of all of the events that have descended down from the beginning point of where I could pull from the galactic library, which is about 200 trillion light years. So I'm going to be bringing in the teachings of Laniakea and the perceptions of galaxy seeds versus just star seeds, which is where there's even a greater ascent beyond just our universal system, in which even the star seeds in which we know of, like the regular guardian universal nations such as Andromeda, Lyra, Orion, Pleiadian, Arcturus, that these are even truly ambassadors to a greater, even more galactic system. So I'm really excited to bring this information forward. It's going to be very unique, very activating.
Nice. Should we have extra coffee and keto? With
yes,
plenty
definitely.
Of
For sure.
Keep up with y'all. Awesome. I like that.
Yes.
Cool.
And everything's going to be at us. You can find us at learn.indigoangel222.com. And yeah, we do have that special coupon code for you guys here at Leak Project Family to take $44 off of that, because we love you guys so much. I love coming on Leak Project, and we love you so much, Rex. You're so amazing. Thank you for having us today.
Oh, geez. Thank you. Much love. Absolutely. It's always nice to talk with you. And I got to say personally, like going back to the first interview that we did, and I didn't know much about you, right? I thought, okay, this will be interesting. But really getting to know you, I think you have a heart of gold. I think you have an amazing soul, an amazing spirit, and your energy is addictive. You have addictive energy. So for those out there that are just watching this podcast, if this is the first time you've seen Indy, if this is the first time you've seen Pink Bella, if this is the first time you've seen Lightstar, and like some of these words seem kind of like, wow, okay. And then, but once you really get to, then you look it up and you study, it's like, oh yeah, it's all positive vibes with you ladies, right? It's positive vibes. Even if you bring up the dark, you flip it. You're like, okay, yep, the dark's there, but you know what? We're going to reverse it. And we're going to bring our energy into the world. And that's what it's about, right? Like verbiage is verbiage. One person might have a completely different definition of the 12th dimension. That's why I asked you, like, what's your definition?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. One person's going to be super scientific and like, well, you've got this and this equation, and then you got the root of the square of this. And so if we could put that aside and just really understand each other, like that's what it's about, right? It's about helping the world. It's about evolving. And it's really about just enjoying your time here and being able to help others enjoy their time here. This is a gift. That's why it's called the present, because so embrace it, folks. And would you like to share anything before we finish this up, Lightstar or Pink Bella?
I would, yeah.
Yeah, Pink Bella, you go.
Yeah, I just wanted to share what I'll be bringing to the course to let everybody know. We'll be going through how the chakra system activates to the 12th chakra. I will be touching on the 13th to the 22nd chakra system, multidimensional quantum field activation, aligning with the Blu-ray Starseed mission, and intuitively, a lot of blocks around people's hearts will prevent them from tapping into their inner knowing and their gifts. So part of the clearing and the healing will be a group global healing and clearing in the akashic records around karma, soul contracts, all sorts of cool things like that. And then everyone will be super high vibe. And I'll hand them over to Lightstar, and she's going to just take them to the next level. So it's going to be super awesome. I'm really excited.
We're going in order of how the day is, because first it's Indy's day, then it's Pink Bella's day, and then it's my day. And we'll be coming back on that fourth day for a Q&A panel for all of us too. So my day is going to be, I'm going to talk about this, the Starborn blueprint. And I'm going to share a lot of different content about different stages that I see Starseeds going through as well. Some of the hurdles that, people need to jump over as far as the matrix and coming out of that whole control system, which I call the obedience mind matrix, okay, to break free from that. And also I'm going to be talking a lot about numbers, master number sequences and what they mean. I have a way I've broken this down so that it's like in very bite-sized, easy way for people to figure out what these numbers mean and to be their own cipher, to be able to decipher any number sequence. So that's going to be fun. I'm going to teach that. Also about dream time, I'm heavily into the dream situation going on. So I'm going to bring a lot of content about dreams and the activations that we get and assembling your dream team. And then the second part of it, I'm going to be talking a lot about light language. So that's where I'm going to be sharing a ton about light language and all the ins and outs of it, and activating people through that whole process. And then I'll be coming back on the third section to do a DNA silicate matrix crystic seed activation, which is really powerful. So we're going to actually bring you back to that silicate matrix repair, and also clear some of the ancestral stuff and miasmic stuff that's in there. And then I'm going to take people on a quantum expansion DNA activation. And so that's going to be really fun. So yeah, you'll be getting all the content, all the teachings that we're going to bring, but you're also getting 3 powerful galactivations or journeys or clearings in this. So it's like literally getting like 3 sessions from us literally in this one course in addition to this. So it's such an amazing deal really to get all of this content, 20 hours of content. And it's just like, that's what we call it, the once in a lifetime, experience event. So I really encourage everybody to go on and check out all the content. The full outline is actually on the Indy site. And so you can go check all of everything we're going to be talking about, everything we're going to be teaching.
I had a special request.
Oh, it's called.
I always have this special request, Lightstar. We are always looking forward to your light language activations.
Do we have time to do that? Or I don't know. I mean, it's not that long. It's usually only a couple minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. I do.
By the way, we didn't really say the name of the class, just so you know. It's Starseed Expansion and Advanced Levels of Consciousness. So that's what you're looking for the actual name of the class. So, okay. So what I'm getting here is when I bring through light language, it's always kind of different, but I'm actually feeling the Syrian energy coming forth for today. Okay. So I just want to warn you guys, the Syrian energy is very strong. It's not like some of my flowery languages. Okay. So that I've done before. So just be aware. It's a little bit more assertive than some of the others, but.
And I want to add that when I sent my Starseed Activators to Rex, the activator that he connected with most was the Syrian activator. So it's very interesting that you're picking up on that.
I saw that show. I was just going to say that. I remember that.
Thanks for
picking up the right energy. So this might really resonate. I don't know. Everybody gets a different thing from all the different languages. Part of the reason why I speak so many is like, it'll eventually hit one person. If you don't get activated by one, you'll get activated by the other. So anyway, So this is what I'm going to bring through, everybody. Again, put your mind off to the side. Don't try to figure it out or analyze it or try to just let whatever your body wants to experience from it and open up to the frequencies. Okay. So here we go. Tune in for a second here. Gashdal bestek. Vanakal al ekestest, markalest hal ek al okurak. Beshista lachanetek, shishaklan al makal eshtak. Vestir hachat an al estekek mar, urakshtaklek istak han ekne, warkantas amakal al ishtak, al ek wak narastak mea. Urokosh akwa taklaya nak. Ubashtiak and helak, ushakuakalek, disakan et wakanalakash. Yahan atakosh akalek, waka arshurach gakist. Yistokor aklakian atakalash. Yakoras, makarashukura kora. Giestachai, wakshashenim basti, bakashte amakalbash alakash. Yestikior okuru makalash. Berista kal erstokur hakeni al makash. Bakira bakash. Makusha kalex. Sikiriatokra. Karemetikir al lak lakshe. Yeshtatal. Mestipeke akhan elakosh. Wakal. Mekisa kay ukho. Wishia wakala bashen. Bestekiach nanatalmach. Okay, that was a directive message there. I was feeling a lot of energies there that were like about purpose, about path, about directive, about people getting on to their missions and their path, and the importance of, as we were talking about that, they were reiterating that the importance of everybody stepping into their mission and getting on their path and not getting distracted by a lot of other things on this planet that we get distracted by. That's not, it's like they're bringing you almost back to the mission, back to the mission, back to the mission. So that was the overview message that I was getting coming forth.
Thank you. It was amazing.
Like I said, Lightstar. A little bit more, I
liked it. So I have a Syrian aspect.
It's one of my favorite, actually. It's one, I don't have necessarily a Syrian aspect, but I just love that language. I don't know. For me, I just like doing it. And I think it
feels very Atlantean.
Activating. It reminds me of, what it reminds me of though, when I speak it is, it reminds me of the Klingons in Star Trek.
It's not as rough. It's not it's not, it's more lyrical. It's more lyrical.
I was going to say that exact same thing, but
it has an essence of that. That's what it feels like when it comes through to me. That is energy of that.
That's what I was going to say. Oh my gosh. I was like, you just transported me over to Star Trek, and I'm like into the Klingons now. And I'm like, are we ambassadors or are we enemies here? What's going on?
We're ambassadors. We're ambassadors.
It sounds like it, but it's not Klingon, but it just has a very similar ring to it, and the energy stream behind it. But like I said, even the Klingons are not necessarily. As
you were doing it, I was actually being transported to the Eye of Sahara in Mauritania, and I was seeing North Africa. Cool. And I was seeing I was picking up on original goddesses. I was getting
everybody's gonna get something different, and that's what the beauty of it is everyone's gonna get a different visual, a different fear, a feeling, a different remembrance, a different recall, a different experience with it. And that's the beauty of light language, is for everybody to receive what is meant for them and to not direct it too much. I mean, I usually have the general idea, but even that can change within person to person.
Okay.
Amazing.
I think that we need to have you in the next episode. We get a hold of the Star Trek producers, the next movie that comes out. I'm serious.
Well, it's funny.
Awesome.
And you know what's interesting, Rex? I have been rewatching all the Star Trek. I actually ended up with the Sci-Fi Channel as part of a package. So I've literally the last month I've been getting all these downloads by rewatching the shows again.
Lightstar, I have one last question. Can you
Yeah.
bring through any reptilian or Draco or Orion?
I don't bring through the Draco, but I do speak dragon. And so I have a dragon
is cool.
energy. I have a dragon image that's called Valion the Wisdom Keeper. And he came in to me during waking state. And it was years ago, but I was like, oh my God, this dragon just came in and I had to create it because he pushed everybody else out of the line of my earth. And just said, this is the dragon.
Do we have time to hear the dragon really quick?
The dragon is really intense, you guys. It's good to do it at the end because I don't have the voice for it. And it really takes a toll on my voice. So I could do a little bit of it. It's really, really intense though. Okay. So if you want that, I'll bring him through.
I would like to hear it. Yeah. I think everyone watching would like to hear it.
Okay. All right. So like I said, but think my dragon, Valion the Wisdom Keeper, is like a friendly, it almost looks like it's like a childlike dragon. Almost
like the wish dragon from Neverending Story.
Yeah, it is more like that. It's like but he's very ancient. This one is like super ancient energy. But it doesn't sound like childlike, but that's the energy that Valion has. He's there to help people initiate. So nonetheless, let's bring some dragon through. Okay, you guys, hold on. I gotta get in dragon mode here. Undala kare, hona soba, oraji laga nae, onda zogora gaede, unoro zoba gora, yanoro zoba gira, warono, andala garo, unujo ogogiana, iga ga ogogia. Undara mahin, undai, geo gogo, zeo gogo isha, mae dara, merondara onda o, mio, ura, mioro, uro, mireo, oro, ondara igagaja, ogayanade, undara moraza, endi. Oraga, Izugaga, Bijogo, Undarabare, Yogagur, Ora, Mariogo.
That was awesome.
That was. That cleared something in my back.
Yeah. Wow.
that had
Powerful.
me thinking of like Genghis Khan, like serious Oriental energy there, and that was awesome. I was really like.
I have a hard time doing that one because it really is hard on my throat, and it just comes through all through the throat, and it's like I don't have that strong of a voice to hold that energy for that long. So those are usually a little more.
That was amazing. That was amazing. I loved it.
This is the wish dragon.
Dragon.
From Neverending Story.
Cute.
Remember this guy? It's like my movie.
I mean, if you look at the picture of my Valion the Wisdom Keeper, he looks like a lot more. He doesn't look like that, but he's silvery blue, and he has like a lot more of a friendlier type of snout rather than the regular dragons we see. So he has a lot more energy, but he comes in and helps a lot of people that have like crystal skulls and are ready to do initiations and are ready to get on their path mission with crystal work and with crystal skull energies. And that's why he's like think of him working with people who are like the knights, on a quest, who are about to go out on a quest or something like that. He loves to work with people like that. And so, but there's all kinds of different dragons, right? We have different kind of dragon energies that are on the planet, and they're not all bad. They're not all like, evil Draco, energies. Some of them are extremely ancient, and they've been pushed off this planet. Initially they were here. It's one of the ones that were killing here first, right? Creatures. Yeah. And they were kind of pushed into, it's kind of like the elementals, where they were kind of spun into a different dimension because of the persecution energies that they were experiencing.
Well, I think Rome took a big toll on that I mean, there was a
and now we're
whole
taught.
invasion that took place in Rome of the killing of the mythical creatures.
And there was a movie about that. I cannot remember the movie, but it was so accurate about how all the elven and these flying creatures and everything were living amongst the people, and then they had to they were trying to kill them off, like the humans were trying to kill them off, and so they had to go in hiding and go in these different areas, and that's exactly what happened, except they fused into a different dimension. So that's
exactly.
where we can experience them still. Some of us have that third eye open and can see that, but they're still there.
Yeah.
They don't really, they're testing the waters about coming through again. I mean, would you want to come back here if they, been killing off all your people? So it's, but we're trying to, because they have all the magic. That's where all the magic is.
I started working with the dragons way back in 2017. So I felt like when you were sharing that, it felt like a family member being brought back in for me, right? Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, we're trying to bring the magic back, right? This is the magic.
We're trying to hold the space so they feel safe to come back as well. We're trying to accelerate they can come back. Yeah.
I don't think we're quite there yet, but we're
not yet. No.
trying.
We're getting there.
Interesting. That's so interesting that you said that, because I have a close friend that thinks that dragons are like interdimensional. And
they are.
He's Irish all the way to the King O'Brien, so he would know. If anybody knows, that guy knows. And
we have dragons, and my partner creates dragon sprites for people too. And so I have a couple dragons that I use in my dream time. They're kind of around me and assist in shielding and in the astral plane, especially in the dream time. So they're very, very helpful, but you have to access them from a different dimension for the moment until we can see them coming back. I don't know if that will actually visibly, physically see them here, but I know, like I said, a lot of us can see that and feel it from the different dimensional perspective. I hope that they end up coming back physically, but I think it would freak everybody out if these dragons just started appearing everywhere. Right?
That's right.
We're ready.
We are, but then they're hunting them, so we don't want the negative people going to hunt them again. And that's
of course. So right now they're just the energetic.
And Daenerys's dragon because of how they did Game of Thrones, Daenerys's dragon at the end gave everybody a bad rap, give them, because then she was just like Dracarys and killing everybody.
Well, I think it's a part of the prophecy for the dragons to come back, because some of the things that I've been shown and have read about is that there was a displacement or a dismembering of the dragon body, that the earth body, that the original Tiamat was a dragon serpent.
Cool.
And that her division, the implosion of the planetary war with Maldek, disposed her body parts all over the world. And so it's a recollection of the dragon parts.
I just got chills when you said that, because I have a strong remembrance of Maldek and that, and I'm going to share that in class. But
and there are dragon ley lines as well. So they that I've worked with as well. So
the Albion ley line is the dragon spine. Yeah, so it goes into Ireland. The original Maji Grail lines, these are supposed to be some of the human incarnates of the white dragons, like these original king lines that they carried the original dragon codes. Yeah. There's a lot to this. There's a lot. We could go dragons all day. We could do a dragon show.
We could talk about dragons all day. I actually like Lightstar asked them to facilitate and come move in and be part of my security team last year.
Yes.
Because I was the higher up I was going and the more information I was sharing, the more focus I was getting from Team D, I like to call it. So I just called the dragons and asked them to move in with me and be my security team.
Oh, they're so good for that. I can't.
They were like, no problem.
Yeah, they really do a lot. And actually, like I said, if you initiate dragon energy before you go to sleep and dream time to help you, especially in the astral plane, because we're out there, it's one of their specialties. They work in that plane. They're really good at keeping you from veering off into, the wrong place to these negative entities that live in the astral plane. That they can actually, burn them up or dissolve that. And
I see the vision of them doing that. It's just like it's a no-brainer. Fire, gone, bye.
And some of them have ice. Like I have one that's like a fiery earth dragon, but then I have the other one that's kind of like a watery ice dragon. So, you have both.
Oh, I love
both energies. Yeah. So I've got one that's like a Chinese type dragon, and then the other one that's more of an earthy, like a regular dragon that we would see. And they have different purposes. And so I've even, I named my dragons. So like I have names for them and stuff. And they're really, really useful and very powerful. And they're so cute too. They like make little noises and little snorts. And it's like really funny when you communicate with them, I mean, I know that seems crazy to a lot of people maybe, but these are this is what we have to move into. We have to step out of that, we can't do that, or that's crazy or whatever. Yeah. That's the whole purpose of this, is to step into your confidence with knowing. And that's goes back to your question, Rex, about the intuition. This is some of the stuff that you got to stop questioning it. Like, is this real? I mean, I know that through the awakening process, we question everything, and that's good. But eventually you get to the point where you just go, this is real.
This is all non-logical. We are a non-logical land.
We're a magic and miracle land.
Miracles and magic.
Yeah.
We're bringing.
I remember when the dragons came to me in 2017 and I started working with an oracle deck around the dragons. I was so excited. I remember I just had this big light bulb moment when I went, oh my gosh, they're real. Like, I've always loved them,
Oh, I can't tell you, when I did my dragon activations on that's one of my most popular videos, is those dragon activations. And at first time I did it, I thought I was going to just freak everyone out with that. But I was like, okay, here we go.
Everyone was ready.
But everybody commented, and I activated other people to have their own dragons and like bring in like, oh, I knew I had a dragon, and like, so they were telling me all their stories of getting activated and reconnected with their own dragons. So it really helped a lot of people, and I was like, okay, well then the world is ready for it, and that's where when Valion came in, that's one of the things he was saying, is that the world, that's why he was pushing all the other commission stuff I had out of the way and that moment, because he was like, the dragon energy needs to come in right now. It was like a timing thing. And that's why it happened, that way. But we really needed to do that.
Thank you. That was awesome.
Yeah. Not just me, but like, other people are.
Yes.
But it was just, the message was the time is now in that timeline or in that moment.
You should title part of your presentation, Dragon Energy Mechanics. Or wait, no, I had a better one. Dragon Activation Mechanics.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, right.
The dragon within.
We'll see what happens in the class. Maybe I'll get some requests for, certain things like activations. I have a lot of people that request on my channel. I have one person that's actually requested several times for me to do Alpha Centauri, and I don't do that language, so I can't bring it through. I can't just bring it through when somebody asks, like it's got to come when it's ready to come. So some of them I don't have yet or hasn't come in, but that's one that I have requested, and I just put it up there. I was like, well, if you want it to come through, but maybe in the class we'll have a, request time or something.
I got one. I just had a request. Someone wants me to do the gray. I just did it. They don't talk, right? They just look at you. They're like, eh.
Rex, I think you speak some galactic languages. I have to say that short you created on the last show we did was you said fun. The host got taken over by aliens.
Yeah, that was fun. No, I like that. You got to have fun once in a while. I make fun of myself all the time. If I'm not making fun of myself, somebody else is. So I like to. You know what I mean?
Well, that keeps our frequency high. Joy, fun, laughter.
Yeah,
that's what we have to. We have to.
I just found out people that are typically late to meetings and free-spirited live longer and happier lives. So that's my excuse.
Me.
And
well, I'm laughing because I've actually been more on time in the last month than I have like my entire existence here on the planet. And yet the internet has been, no, you can't come in yet.
Oh, yeah.
It's so interesting. So
it's funny. I'm an Aquarius, so you would think that I would be late to everything, but I'm totally the opposite. Like I'm on time all the time, like, or early. And so I have to say, it's okay that I don't live long, because you know what? I'm okay with going home. But yeah, it doesn't matter to me, because I feel like whenever your time's up, your time's up. It doesn't really matter here. But I think that's why some of us had not gotten on our mission until our 40s. Hello. Then it's like, oh crap, I have time to catch up for. I gotta go.
Yeah.
Hurry up. You got work to do.
Well, it wasn't time. I even feel the period between 2020 and 2022 we all had a chance to expand and level up in ways that we never even thought about because everyone was isolated to a certain degree. So even myself, I actually, during that time frame, this could be a whole show, but I had to deep dive into all the dark stuff. I refused to look at it until then. I didn't want to look at it, but my guides actually said, no, you need that piece of what's really been going on in the planet. And so it expanded and woke up so many starseeds, so this is this is the next level where we want to, ensure that everyone is feeling comfortable and feeling brave and feeling it's okay now to come out. Like I think that's one sort of designation with the starseed, this remembering of, I don't really belong here and I'm kind of afraid. I'm kind of afraid to get on mission because of what's happened in other realities. But the thing is like, we are protected now to a certain degree. We can have things that'll happen, of course, but that just helps us level up to another superpower.
I'm really wondering how big this Starseed expansion has gone, because I just seen articles the other day of someone posting millions of people on the earth now think that they are aliens from another universe.
I love it.
Dare these people think these things? It's like, wow, this community has really grown.
Well,
really
and
has.
to be honest, look at what, I don't know if you guys saw it. I don't watch the news for the sake of like, oh, I'm sucked in. I watch the news to be aware of what they're programming people with. Okay. But I did see that they're not talking about aliens, UFOs on regular news channels now. So if they're starting to talk about that on regular news, now they're either getting prepared for people to like experience a fake alien invasion, which is very possible because that's one of the things that's been out there, but they are bringing it out into the regular mainstream, which has not necessarily happened. So are they going to say, oh, well, now maybe all those times that people said it was debunked was actually true. They're going to start seeing it. So for them to actually bring it out is kind of a big deal. But
the movie is getting interesting.
It's definitely, we're living in an interesting time, and we all decided to come here at this time to however age whatever age you're at this time. This is a very, very special time on Earth to experience this expansion and another wave. We're just in another wave of awakening. We've had several, I know several in my lifetimes, waves of people coming in. And now there's like a whole new wave of awakening. And then there will be a whole new wave of people on mission because of that.
Yes.
So in like 5 years, after everyone assimilates and they get into their mission and they get upgraded and all this integration, they're going to be starting off on a whole nother mission. It takes maybe sometimes a few years to see the results of that. We've already seen it. I've already seen the results.
You know what? I'm almost feeling like the call right now for us to facilitate this and to help expand and assist Starseeds on mission. I'm almost feeling it's because our timeline's being moved up.
Yeah, everything.
So Starseeds, everything's being moved up. So when the other team, when they moved their chess piece, and it's like, okay, more Starseeds on mission now. Everybody needs to align and start working and raising the frequency together.
And I think we're going into different areas of like, we've come to a certain level and then we expand, we just stay there. We actually go, of course. Oh, I'm going to be doing this now. Okay, that's new, but all right, let's stretch the rubber band.
Let's do it.
We're all stretching our spiritual rubber bands to, to receive more, to extend to what new levels that we're doing, and I think that some of us, we're waiting for some of the downloads to what the next step is. We don't always know it ahead of time, but even with light language, I feel that same way. Like I've been doing this for over a decade now, but I feel like my job was the bridge, like to get everybody to experience what it is, to feel it, to experience it. And then the next level, I used to say I would not do translations because that's like, they told me not to do that in the beginning. Well, I was doing it in the beginning, but then I stopped. And then now they're kind of like, I said at some point I might do this again. And now I've started to see people asking me, can you translate this? Can you translate that? And so I'm feeling like I am doing that now. Like I am starting to do it. Yeah.
It makes sense because it's helping us all remember that as well. Like not just hearing it, but remembering like what the meaning is.
It's really important in the beginning to feel it, to anchor it and not analyze it, try to figure it out.
Not judge it.
Because as soon as we start analyzing and picking it apart, it actually loses some of its message. It gets diluted. But now I feel like we're on the path. Like I just had a I had two people ask me, can you translate this for me? And
Interesting.
and then I have another client who just gave me some phrase that he wants me to interpret into language and make it into an art engraving thing. I've done one of those already for him. But so, you know, before I wasn't necessarily like, oh, well, I don't want to, but now I'm like getting, okay, we're starting to open the doorway again to doing that kind of translation. And I found I really, you know, can do it, you know, so it's kind of interesting. So we'll see what happens with all of that. But I know that there's a book coming out. Well, it's already out, but there's a documentary coming out with the book. It's the ET Almanac, and it's by Craig Campobasso, who's the producer of Stranger at the Pentagon. If you guys
Craig's
saw
cool.
that.
I like Craig.
Well, he's a friend, and we got to know each other. He asked me to have some of my artwork in his book, so some of my images are actually in that book.
Cool.
And he's asked me to be on the documentary. So I filmed a bunch of, you know, different clips, and I'm going to be in the documentary, which is probably going to come out maybe the beginning of next year. And one of the things that he asked that we did was I voice over a lot of my different light languages. And so they're going to be weaving those into the,
Cool.
to the
That's
documentary
awesome.
as well. And so that's changing, you know, and one of the things he gave me like a recording of something that was like in some kind of light language. He said it was like an actual being, an actual ET being, and he wanted to know if I could decipher it. And when he gave it to me, I listened a couple times, and the first thing I didn't get exactly, but I got like, it sounds like a ship command. Like I just didn't even know, you know, I said, it sounds like they're making ship commands. And he said, that's exactly what it was. Cause he knew, but I was just, you know, like testing me or something. But so I am able to decipher stuff that and I'll explain that in the class as to why I feel that's the case. But I feel like that's coming online, just starting to come online even more is some of the translations. So I'm excited for some of that to come about.
Yeah, we can't wait. We're so excited.
I'm excited for this class. We are just, we're going to bring so much content to this.
We've been
table.
preparing. We really have. We've been preparing.
Yeah, we have, and we are.
Yes. Excited.
For sure.
Right on. Well, ladies, this was awesome. And I'm looking forward to seeing you at the conference. And I hope you all keep being the change the world needs to see. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rex.
Have a beautiful rest of your day. We love you so much. Take care.
Mahalo nui loa. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for being here with us. Hope to see you at the conference. Be the change you want to see.